Think back to the last time you pushed yourself hard. A long run? A heavy lift? That burning sensation in your legs and that trembling in your arms? Now consider this. You just spent an hour deliberately damaging your own body. You tore muscle fibers apart. You exhausted your cells. You created microscopic chaos inside your own tissue. And days later, you are not weaker. You are stronger. That is not a coincidence. It is a highly coordinated biological process. And today, we are going inside the muscle to understand exactly how it works. Your skeletal muscle is made of bundles within bundles. Think of it like a cable. Inside that cable are dozens of wires. Inside each wire are hundreds of tinier threads. Muscles are built the same way. The whole muscle belly is wrapped in a sheath of connective tissue called the Inside that are smaller bundles called fascicles, each enclosed in their own layer. And inside each fascicle are the actual building blocks. Individual muscle fibers, these are single cells, remarkably long, some running the full length of the muscle. Muscle fibers are unusual cells. A single fiber can contain hundreds of nuclei. Because the cell is so large, it needs many control centers to manage protein production across its entire length. And inside these fibers are tiny protein filaments, actin and myosin, arranged in repeating units called. These are the engines of movement. They slide past one another to shorten the fiber and contract the muscle. So what happens when you push this system to its limit? When you begin lifting, signals travel from your brain through motor neurons to your muscle fibers. Electrical impulses trigger the release of calcium ions inside the fiber. This activates those actin-myosin bridges, pulling the sarcomeres together. Under very high tension, the mechanical stress on sarcomeres causes small tears along the myofibrils, the protein chains inside the fiber. Structures called Z-discs, which anchor the sarcomeres in place, begin to fracture. This is what exercise scientists call exercise-induced muscle damage. This is the soreness you feel 24 to 72 hours after a demanding workout. Delayed onset muscle soreness. For a long time it was attributed to lactic acid buildup. But research has shown it is something different. It is cellular damage, and more importantly, it is the biological trigger for repair and growth. Within minutes of that damage, your immune system responds. Neutrophils arrive first. These are rapid response immune cells, and their job is to clear debris and release chemical signals that bring in reinforcements. Next come the macrophages. These larger immune cells engulf damaged proteins and release a range of cytokines and growth factors. Among the most important is insulin-like growth factor 1. This molecule activates a specialized population of cells that sit dormant along the surface of every muscle fiber. These are called satellite cells, and they are essentially muscle stem cells. Under normal conditions, satellite cells are inactive, but when the damage signals arrive, they wake up and start dividing. Some of them migrate to the injury sites and fuse directly with the damaged fiber. They donate their nuclei to the fiber. This is how muscle fibers accumulate more nuclei over time. Each additional nucleus can direct the production of more contractile protein, increasing the fiber's capacity for both repair and growth. Other satellite cells divide one daughter cell contributes to repair, while the other returns to a dormant state and replenishes the satellite cell pool. Research suggests this self-renewal mechanism helps preserve the muscle's long-term regenerative capacity. At the same time, a signaling pathway, called mTOR, short for mechanistic target of rapamycin, activates inside surviving muscle fibers. mTOR responds directly to mechanical tension and acts as a master switch for muscle protein synthesis. When mTOR is active, ribosomes inside the cell begin producing new actin and myosin proteins. New sarcomeres are added in parallel with existing ones. The fibers grow thicker. This is muscular hypertrophy, and it is the primary mechanism behind increases in muscle size. This process depends on adequate dietary protein. Specifically, the amino acid leucine appears to be a key trigger for mTOR activation. Without enough protein from food, even effective training cannot produce the structural adaptations the body is capable of making. One more important principle: the body adapts. Once a muscle has been rebuilt and strengthened, the same exercise produces less mechanical stress. The signal weakens. Adaptation slows. This is why gradually increasing the load or volume of training over time, a principle called progressive overload, is central to continued muscle development. The muscle needs a reason to keep investing in growth. Now, one thing that surprises many people is when this growth actually happens. Muscles do not grow during training. They grow during recovery, primarily during sleep. The training session creates the signal. Recovery is when the body acts on it. During deep sleep, growth hormone is released at its highest concentrations. Studies have shown that growth hormone plays a meaningful role in muscle protein synthesis and in satellite cell activity. Consistently poor sleep measurably reduces the body's ability to rebuild muscle tissue, even when training and nutrition are on point. There is also a well-documented phenomenon called muscle memory, though it works differently from what most people assume. With consistent training, muscle fibers accumulate additional nuclei from satellite cell fusions. When training stops, the fibers shrink in size, but research has shown that those extra nuclei can persist for months, possibly years. When training resumes, the muscle rebuilds faster than it did originally, because the additional nuclei are already there to direct protein production. The structural investment from earlier training is not lost. It persists at the cellular level. One question researchers have explored is why the body requires damage as part of this process. Why not just build continuously? The prevailing thinking is that muscle tissue is metabolically expensive to maintain. It requires a significant and ongoing energy investment. For much of human history, when food was unpredictable, carrying more muscle than the environment required would have been a costly disadvantage. So the body appears to regulate muscle mass conservatively, building only when physical demands consistently justify it. When muscles experience repeated high-intensity loading, the body responds by investing in stronger, larger tissues. When that loading disappears, the investment is scaled back. Training is, in a practical sense, a physical argument for the value of that investment. The next time you feel the soreness that follows a hard session, you now know what it represents. Damaged protein is being cleared. Satellite cells are activating. Ribosomes are assembling new contractile filaments. The whole system is running a measured, well-organized repair process. Your body is not simply recovering. It is rebuilding with the specific intention of handling that same load more effectively next time. The scale of this coordination, happening continuously across billions of cells, is genuinely difficult to fully appreciate, but it is happening right now, in the background, without any conscious input from you. That is the biology of muscle growth.